My guest tonight is machine gun preacher Sam Childers. I'm going to interview a man who is well known to the world. How God worked in his life and changed his life. By his early teens, Sam was constantly in fights selling hard drugs. He found a job in constructions and prospered despite his continuing drug and alcohol habit. Sam also sought to re-establish his relationship with God and begin to live a clean life. Slowly, things began to change for the better. Sam started his own construction company. Childers converted to Christianity in mid-1992 with the help of his wife during a revival meeting at the Assembly of God Church. In 2013, he received the Mother Teresa Award for Social Justice. Sam and his wife Lynn still live in the same house in Pennsylvania and are just as dedicated to the plight of the Sudanese children as they were 13 years ago. Sam's biography, Another Man's War, Hollywood made a film in which Gerard Butler played a role of Sam.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm very fortunate. My guest with me is a very renowned person. God blessed him. God used him across the world. Wherever he went or wherever he's going, God is helping him, God is guiding him, and God is with him. None other than Sam Childers. He is the one in the war in Sudan. He saved over 100 people. 1,500 people. And there was a time when he started his mission. He did not knew that how God will use him. But so far, he is there. And there is a movie you must have seen. Machine Gun Preacher. Hollywood, inspired by this movie. And they have decided that they will produce a movie in which Gerard Butler's work in that movie. Sam, we welcome you to our show.
All right, God bless you.
Sam, could you please tell us, our viewers, what was the turning point in your life? How did you come? And what was your background? How did you turn to God?
You're asking me to share my testimony. Your show is only about 10 or 15 minutes, so there's no way I can share my testimony. But I was raised in a good family, but at a very young age, I made some bad choices, and I started using drugs. Before you knew it, I just wasn't using drugs, I was selling drugs. Then the next thing you know, I was living the life of a criminal, living the life of a drug dealer. But then there was a day that I got into a really bad bar fight. And in that bar fight is when I made up my mind, I'm done living this life. And then it was actually 2 years after that, I walked into a church and I said, God, here I am. And from that point on, it was just miracle after miracle, you know.
And just tell me, because I have seen this movie in 2011, Machine Gun Preacher. How the idea conceived by the Hollywood is Gerard Butler approach you, or the Hollywood people approach you, and how it comes the idea?
I wrote a book. My first book was called Another Man's War, and that book came out in 2009, and Hollywood got a hold of me because of the book, and they bought the movie rights to the book. Now the movie was not quite accurate because they took 35, 40 plus years put into a 2-hour movie. So naturally, it wasn't very accurate. But Hollywood sometimes will take the truth and kind of put a twist to it, you know. But the movie is based on everything that happened in my life over the years.
And Sam, tell me that what was the response after the people have watched that movie? Did you get the call? Did they motivated you?
The movie over the years have literally moved and inspired millions of people around the world. I mean, I'm talking from Asia to the Middle East to Africa to literally around the world in Europe. You know, the movie was very big inside of London area, so it's changed millions of people, and it's still changing people to this day. Our office in the U.S. gets hundreds and thousands of emails of people with addictions, people that was living a life of a criminal, but also just the blue-collar people that want to change their life. So the movie's still working.
And tell me, who are the people who are still supporting you in your mission? Especially, tell us about the work you are doing in Sudan.
You know, we have people that support us around the world, but our work is not just in Sudan. Our work is in Ethiopia, Uganda, and South Sudan. And so we have everyone from Christians, we have non-believers, we have every faith there is out there that supports our work. And I know that everyone that supports us, whether they are non-Christian, whether they're Christian or some other type of religion, everyone that supports me knows that I am born again.
And tell me, what sort of projects you have?
You know, we have 4 working orphanages now, and then we have 3 training centers. And the orphanages are for the young kids. Our training centers are for the young adults. You know, a lot of people don't realize if you're in an orphanage in a third world country, many of the orphanages, you have to leave at 15. 70% of those kids go into prostitution. So the big thing that we do is we have 3 training centers that teach us farming, ranching, irrigation. We have hotels that teaches young ladies how to work in a hotel. We have restaurants, and we do all of our own building. So we're also teaching the building trade, concrete, carpenter, welding, mechanic. On the farms, we teach you how to run farming equipment, tractors. Right now, we employ about 480, 490 people a day.
And if I would ask you, if you have to take your projects to the next level, what sort of support you needed from us? Because the message is going across the world.
Naturally, when you look at what all we do, we drill wells, we do feeding programs. Right now, we're feeding over 13,000 meals a day. We've drilled over 40 wells in the past. I mean, so I don't think I will ever bring in enough money, because when you look at South Sudan right now, the UN says there's nearly 7 million people on the verge of starvation. So I don't think that we would ever bring in enough, because there's always going to be hurting, starving people, especially children. Right now, on the one big project that we have, we're opening up a fuel station in a supermarket. Just that project alone, we need like $180,000 to finish that project. But that project will help us to come a little closer to being self-supported.
And because I think it's a good opportunity for you to update our viewers that the projects you have in Sudan, you also have projects in Ethiopia. And what is your next plan for the third world?
I believe the projects that we want to really work on expanding is our feeding programs. Unless you go into South Sudan, northern Uganda, and parts of Ethiopia, unless you go in and see the need for the children, there's a lot of children that might only be eating once a day. And none of those children are always eating till they're satisfied. They're only eating enough to survive. Along with our feeding programs, I believe there's a lot of schools that need to be built. We've built 7 schools over the years. We're building number 8 right now. So I believe if we want to change a nation, it begins with education. So the more money we bring in, we're going to invest it in feeding programs and education.
And tell me, because we are doing this interview in Bath, And who invited you in Bath, and what was the response here in overall in UK?
Yeah. We had one young man that got a hold of our office that's from here. That was amazing young fella. And he really set up this visit. Without him, we would not have been here. Yeah.
And did you enjoy your trip here in UK?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been coming here for a number of years. I'm not a sightseer. I'm not a person to sightsee. When I'm in a place, I usually stay in my hotel room. I don't run around town, you know. I'm on a tour to inspire people and motivate people and let people know about our work in East Africa. So I'm kind of different than a lot of people. I don't go visiting when I'm on a tour, you know. I'm here just to preach the Word of God and motivate people.
And if you want to give a message to the world, what message would you like to give to the world?
I believe it's a very simple message. I tell everyone around the world, I think we all have one thing in common, and it's hope. Each one of us, no matter who we are, we have hope for our life. But we don't stop and think, can you imagine the hope that Jesus Christ has for you? The hope that He has for us is so much over and beyond what we have for ourselves. So the only thing I can say to you is if God can change me, and look who I was, just imagine what He can do in your life. Don't limit God.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Dear friends, this is our friend Sam Shilters, and he shared his testimony, and we hope you enjoy this short interview, and we look forward once again, Chad, we welcome you here, and we look forward to see you next year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
God
thank
bless.
you. God bless you.